Welcome to episode 49 of Pulse of Physiology. I'm your host, Dr. Jim Davis, and today we're diving into pulmonary functions, the essential roles the respiratory system plays in maintaining oxygenation, acid-base balance, and homeostasis. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the primary and secondary functions of the respiratory system, the key processes of respiration, and how pulmonary ventilation supports gas exchange. So let's get started. Now, the respiratory system is primarily responsible for gas exchange, which occurs at the level of the pulmonary capillaries. This function ensures that oxygen enters the bloodstream to support cellular respiration, while also removing carbon dioxide, which prevents harmful acid buildup. And we'll get into more about how carbon dioxide is an acid later on in the semester. Additionally, carbon dioxide plays a critical role in this acid-base balance. And this is because CO2 is a weak acid. Fluctuations in its levels directly impact blood pH, making respiration an important mechanism for maintaining pH homeostasis. And we'll talk about it more later on in the semester. Now, beyond gas exchange, the respiratory system contributes to multiple physiological processes. It also is involved in heat loss. Every time you breathe out, you're getting rid of heat. So sometimes, if you get it hot enough, you actually start to hyperventilate, similar to what dogs do when they pant. The only difference is dogs panting is much more effective than our just increased breathing. Now, secondary functions include vocalization, which is air movement through the vocal cords, which produces speech and sound. Defense against pathogens, because the respiratory tract is lined with mucous membranes and cilia that trap and remove inhaled pathogens. The respiratory system also warms and humidifies inhaled air to protect delicate lung tissues. And changes in thoracic pressure that assist with breathing also assist venous return to the heart. Finally, the respiratory system also activates plasma proteins. And this includes the conversion of something called angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2, which we discussed in the cardiovascular system. And angiotensin 2 plays an important role in blood pressure regulation. Now, the respiratory system performs four main processes. You've got ventilation, which is just moving air in and out. It's the process of physically moving air between the lungs and the external environment or the atmosphere. This can be mechanical or assisted, or physiological, which is just natural breathing. Then there's pulmonary gas exchange or external respiration. This is when oxygen moves from alveoli into pulmonary capillaries while carbon dioxide diffuses out. This occurs via diffusion across the alveolar capillary membrane. Then there's the transport of gases in the blood. Now, the respiratory system isn't really directly involved in this. However, in order for cellular or internal respiration to occur, we need to get oxygen into the tissues. And so with the help of the cardiovascular system, oxygen binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells, and it's transported to the tissues. Carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate, dissolved carbon dioxide, or it is also bound to hemoglobin. Finally, we have tissue gas exchange, or internal respiration, or cellular respiration. Oxygen diffuses from the capillaries into the tissues, while carbon dioxide moves from tissues into the bloodstream. This occurs via simple diffusion, which is driven by partial pressure gradients. Now, we have pulmonary ventilation, which refers to the movement of air in and out of the lungs, ensuring that oxygen-rich air enters and carbon dioxide-laden air exits. For inspiration to occur, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, which increases thoracic volume and decreases intrathoracic pressure. Air flows into the lungs due to a pressure gradient. This is an active process that requires muscular effort. Conversely, expiration or exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and moves upwards, which decreases thoracic volume while increasing thoracic pressure. This includes pressure in the lungs. Air is pushed out as the pressure inside the lungs becomes higher than atmospheric pressure. Basically, we flip the gradient. Expiration is a passive process during normal breathing because there isn't any muscle contraction that's needed, but it can be active during forced exhalation. So, for example, if you're exercising or if you're trying to blow out candles, something like that. So let's summarize with four key takeaways. The primary function of the respiratory system is gas exchange, which ensures oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide removal. But it's also important to remember that the lungs are involved with heat loss and that carbon dioxide influences pH, making the respiratory system essential for acid-base balance. Ventilation, pulmonary gas exchange, and tissue gas exchange work together to supply oxygen and remove carbon dioxide from the body. Inhalation is an active, driven by diaphragm contraction, while exhalation is passive unless it's forced. And so that's it for episode 49 of Pulse of Physiology. I hope this episode has provided a clear understanding of pulmonary functions and their importance in maintaining homeostasis. Join me next time for episode 50, where we'll explore pulmonary pressures and how they regulate ventilation. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay curious.